ملة أبيكم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واجعل لي لسان صدق في الآخرين واجعلني من ورثة جنة النعيم واغفر لأبي إنه كان من الضالين ولا تخزني يوم يبعثون يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي فالحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. After the dars after this yesterday, I was still curious about the phrasing in ayah number 84 of the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam, وَاجْعَلْ لِي لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ فِي الْآخِرِينَ. Something was in my mind and I wanted to confirm it. And in fact, it's true. A number of scholars did talk about it, and I want to share that with you and elaborate on it. So there are two dimensions to what Ibrahim alayhi salam, his legacy kind of is tied to. One is his past and the other is his future. So the people that are tied to his past are his father and his nation. And the people that are tied to his future are his children and humanity at large. So there's kind of a two-directional thing that's happening in the conversations that involve Ibrahim alayhi salam. So if you notice, even in his prayers, there's stuff about, first he abandons the people of his past that have done something wrong, right? Or they abandon him and he's walking away from them. فَإِنَّهُمْ عَدُوٌّ لِي إِلَّا رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And after his attachment to Allah Azza wa Jal, his next dua about the future is رَبِّ هَبْلِي حُكْمًا وَأَلْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ. You know, join me in the company of good people, sincere people, genuine people, that I talked to you about yesterday. So he wants the company of good people around him. Now, the next thing, and we know that he didn't really have a massive following, even though the Quran in one place says, وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ, those who were with him. So perhaps he had a handful of followers with him too. Other scholars said nobody was with him, it was just his own family. Meaning eventually it was his wife, his sons, etc. Those were the only people that were with him. But this phrasing, وَجَعَلْ لِي لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ فِي الْآخِرِينَ, it's pretty powerful. I explained to you yesterday that he's asking Allah that when people speak about him, they speak truthfully about him in the future. But other scholars looked at this and said, لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ, why is he asking to be mentioned anyway? Right? Why would someone want to be mentioned generations from now? I'm already gone. That sounds like praise. Like Imam Fakhruddin al-Razi kind of likes to play that. He likes to look at the worst case scenario. I hate using the words devil's advocate, but he does that, and it's brilliant that he does that. He says, well, why would someone want to be mentioned generations after they're dead? To put this in modern context, there are people that they're really old, really rich, and they know they're going to die soon, and they're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars. So they'll donate to a university or to a hospital or to some prestigious whatever, and the department will be named after them, or the wing of the hospital will be named after them, and there will be a monument of their name associated, right? So that their name will live on. So there's a desire in humanity that their name should carry forward. In ancient times, the way this was done was by your lineage, right? Your lineage will carry your name forward. And of course, in ancient times, people also had statues and monuments built. So hundreds of years after somebody's gone, the sign of that I was here, I wasn't forgotten. There's a fear human beings have of actually being forgotten, and becoming irrelevant. I was looking at the psychology also of relevance and irrelevance. It's an interesting thing. Human beings, even when we're alive, one of the worst feelings a human being can live with is that they feel unnoticed. Like nobody cares about, nobody notices me. I'm basically invisible. If I didn't exist, nobody would be impacted, And there are people who they have to choose because they feel like they're making no They feel so worthless that they're making no positive contribution in anyone's life. So they're basically irrelevant. They feel that they're irrelevant. By the way, by definition, no one is irrelevant. But anyway, they feel that way. And when they feel that way, they have to make a choice. They have to make a choice between being irrelevant and being hurtful. Because if they're hurtful, at least someone was reacting to them. So that's their way of validating that I still exist, right? Because if they don't, because you'll find it's a crazy phenomenon. I don't hope you have people like that in your life, or or you're not like that. That you say things not because you think it's any good. You don't say things because they're positive. You don't say things because you need to say things. You need to say things because you need to see that you had a reaction from someone. And the fact that you caused a reaction validates that you have some kind of an existence, right? And so there are some people who you wonder, why are they always making sarcastic comments? Why are they always so negative all the time? Why are they always so, it's actually relevance. It's a fear of being irrelevant. I would rather be offensive than be irrelevant, actually. Much of you'll find if you have a real job and you have real purpose in life and you're busy with meaningful things and you're taking care of your family and your responsibilities, et cetera, you're going to find that even if you see something online that you didn't like, you're not going to comment on it. Like the vast majority of people aren't commenting, and they're not criticizing. Even if they critique intellectually, they're not going to make it a point to actually put that down in the comment section. And there's a reason for that. Because some people need to be visible because it makes them feel like they exist. And then some people like to agitate on purpose and say offensive things, outrageous things on purpose, because then other people will comment on them. Even that angry face icon is going to make them feel like I exist. But coming back to the point here, why would Ibrahim alayhi salam want to be mentioned? Why would he want to be talked about in the future? This is actually the Quran teaching a very powerful lesson. We are a deen, I keep reminding myself and all of you, we are a deen that is the perfect balance between this life and the next life. And we don't look at this life in isolation from the next life. And we want the best of this life and the best of the next life, and they're actually connected to each other. I want the best of this life in a way that will make sure that I have the best life in the next one. We're not doing a series on Sulaiman alayhi salam, but even when he asks Allah, Rabbi habli hukman la yanbaghi li ahadin min ba'di, Ya Allah, my master, give me kingdom, mulkan actually, give me kingdom that is not suitable for anyone that comes after me, right? Give me more kingdom than anyone's ever had. This would be the greatest one ever, Fir'aun would want something like that. Why is Sulaiman alayhi salam asking for something like that? And along the same lines, why is Ibrahim alayhi salam asking to be mentioned among the last people that walk the earth, like generations and generations, among the final of generations that will live in this world? He wants to be mentioned and mentioned truthfully because he understands something. He understands that what he's doing, he doesn't diminish what he's doing. So I want to break this down to a few elements. Number one, he's just a young man in a village that's walking away, right? But he understands the significance of it. He understands that this is actually a very powerful thing that Allah has blessed me to do. And if other people find out about it, they will be empowered and encouraged to do the same thing. If people know what I have done here, there will be other young men, other young women, other old men, other old women, other people that will take this step towards Allah no matter what the cost. They'll do that too. And if they do that, then I'll be connected to them even if I've never met them in this life. But I know for a fact that when I stand up on Judgment Day, those people that heard about what I did, and because of what I did, they were impacted, they will be connected to me on Judgment Day. And their good deeds will actually add to mine. They'll actually be my helpers on Judgment Day too, not just themselves. This concept of sadaqah jariyah, he understands it. So in a sense, he wants popularity. Right? He wants to be mentioned among the last of people, which means generation after generation, he shall be mentioned. So he wants popularity, but he wants popularity for a very different reason. He doesn't want popularity in order to be liked. He wants it in order for people to do things that will make them disliked. because what he did made him the most disliked individual in the entire town and his family. You understand? This is not about being likable. So you see, like our notions of popularity, they are directly associated with likability, right? We want to be someone that's liked. And it makes us feel kind of more valued. People say, hey, so who are you? How many followers do you have? Okay, all of a sudden, how many followers? Now you suddenly have value. If you only have 4 followers, it's like you're a worthless human being. What do you have, 4 followers? Is that your cousins that felt bad for you? You know, that's all you're worth. So we measure value now in terms of popularity, right? But actually, Ibrahim alayhi salam measures value not just in terms of how many people heard about him or heard his name. He just wants to know, he wants to make sure that whenever somebody mentions him, they mention what he did truthfully. And if that utterance will be there, then the inspiration for what he does will be there, right? It's a really powerful thing that he's asking for. He's also understanding something else. In this family, or in this life, we have family. And family, even though you're genetically from the same, batch, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, personality-wise, sometimes you can be, I don't know, from a different planet. Like sometimes you look at your family member like, how are you and I family? Like, I don't understand how you and I are siblings. Like, seriously, or how's that my mom? How's that my dad? How's that my son? Like they are so different, so completely polar opposite. I mean, look at Ibrahim alayhi salam and his father. Look at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his uncles. Look at, Yaqub alayhi salam and his sons, Yusuf alayhi salam and his brothers. Nuh alayhi salam and his son. I mean, over and over again, you have people that are, and the Quran will highlight people that are spiritually different. But we know that there are all kinds of differences. And it may be that at work or at school or in other social environments, in your Muslim Students Association, at the masjid, wherever, you find a group of people that are really connected to you, that really understand you, that get you, that you're on the same page with, you finish each other's sentences. And when you go among your own people, your own race, your own family, your own tribe, nobody gets you. That could certainly be the case. And Ibrahim alayhi salam is certainly the ideal case study for that, isn't he? Like nobody gets him in the entire town. And people that finally did get him got angry. Why did he make me get him? Burn him alive. They hate him for it. But he understands when that people will be connected by ideas, by faith, by the truth, more powerfully than they can be connected by bloodlines, more powerfully than they can be connected by genetics. Just think about that historically, put that in perspective, right? One of the most powerful manifestations of human power are kingdoms. All power of an entire region converged into one human being. And his family is then called the royal family, right? But the problem with the royal family is everybody's thinking this guy's going to die one day or another. Is it going to be the older son that's going to be the king, or the younger son that's going to be the king? Or is it going to be the brother that's going to be the king? Or is it the brother's kids that are going to be the king? And they're a bloodline, right? And guess what? In every dynasty in history, there are plots and conspiracies to kill family members. And if one brother takes the throne, he makes sure the other brother gets killed or executed or exiled, because so long as he's alive, he's a threat to the throne, right? So the most influential people, they have the most spite towards those that are closest to them. And they are the most danger to those that are closest to them. So you would think that blood or genetics or family would bring people the closest. But actually, these are some of the worst contestants in life. The worst conflicts in life happen between them, right? And on the flip side, you've got Ibrahim alayhi salam being separated from the bloodline. And he's saying, even the last people that walk on this earth, if they can just remember me truthfully, he's not connected to them by blood or genetics or region or locality or nationality or property or business. He's connected to them by the truth. That's it. The truth is this invisible chain that binds these people together and builds a loyalty that nothing else can build. So this la ilaha illallah, this thing that we believe, it creates a bond that nothing else can create. And he sees that. It builds a bond that can span across generations. You can have, for example, this is wild to me, when you just compare what we live in And what you read in Allah's book, like you'll have a young man who is raised in the United States, or a young woman, and they're like, I can't relate to my parents. I don't really understand. They don't understand what I'm going through. The world has changed. I can't understand because the world changes quickly, right? So, and by the way, maybe you couldn't relate to your parents and their parents couldn't relate to their parents, but your kids really can't relate to you, right? There's a big gap, right? Because the world changes so fast. And yet, when the son or the father or the grandfather truly turn to the faith, they can all relate to Ibrahim alayhi salam from thousands of years ago. That's not outdated. Isn't that wild? It's an incredible thing that he said, وَاجْعَلْ لِي لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ فِي الْآخِرِينَ. And when he says that, then he, and I said this to you yesterday, but now you'll see it in a different flavor, he's lost the inheritance of his father. He's not going to carry his father's legacy. He's not going to, even if his father died, he's not going to take over the idol worshiping workshop. You know, that's not what he's going to take over. So what is he going to inherit? He's going to inherit nothing. But وَجْعَلْ لِي مِنْ وَرَثَةِ جَنَّةِ النَّعِيمِ. I'm going to inherit, make me from those who inherit the garden of ultimate luxury, ultimate comfort. So he wants to inherit Jannah, meaning he's tying himself directly to Adam alayhi salam and all those who made istighfar. And that's a wiratha that was left behind. إِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. This is why the people of the children of Adam were guaranteed Jannah. They were guaranteed Jannah. And that's why in Surah Al-Mu'minun, we were told the children of Adam, about them, all of them, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, about the believers, He says, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْفِرْدَوْسَ. They're inheritors. How are we inheritors of Jannah? Inheritance can only happen if your father owned the property. Well, yeah, Allah gave your father Jannah, Adam alayhi salam, right? And then He put conditions on, there's conditions for the property's waiting for you, meet these conditions and it's yours. Right? That's all guidance is. Guidance is meeting those conditions. Then there's فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Meet these conditions, you can have your inheritance back. That's why we're called inheritors. And that's what He's saying here when He says, وَاجْعَلْنِي مِنْ وَرَثَةِ جَنَّةِ النَّعِيمِ. But still looking back, He's not going to abandon the concern He has for His father yet. So He says, وَاغْفِرْ لِي أَبِي إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الضَّالِينَ. But I've spoken to you about that before. So I'm going to move forward with that. But there's one lesson from it that I do want to highlight that is important. His father was extremely aggressive, extremely offensive, extremely hurtful when he said, if you don't stop, I'm going to stone you, leave me, go away from here, never, don't come back for a long, long time. Wahjurni maliya. We already read that, right? That's what his dad says. So he sees the rage of his father. He sees the irrational responses of his father. He was making rational criticisms. His dad was saying erratic, emotional, crazy, wild things. We saw that. The father actually didn't respond to anything reasonably. Right? He just made it a question of loyalty. So the issue was, he was speaking from the intellect, his father was speaking from emotion. That's what was happening over and over again, right? And he realized, he acknowledges something in when he prays about his father, that you can have a relationship with somebody that you're trying to do good for, but they cannot speak to you reasonably. They become emotional every time. Their emotions take over, and the rational part of their brain, the critical part of their brain switches off. And the angry version of them turns on, or the aggressive version of them, or the sarcastic version of them, or the dismissive version of them. There's another version of them that switches on, and then they don't want to be able to, you can't reason with them. Now they can only be offensive. And he realizes that those people, they're lost because the only thing that can give you guidance is your intellect. On Judgment Day, there will be people that, as they're about to be thrown into hellfire, the angels will ask them, Alam ya'tikum nadhir? Didn't a warner come to you? قالوا قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء. But in the next ayah, وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير. If we only listened, or we only gave it thought. The issue is, they realized they never gave it thought. Like they always just made it an emotional attack. They took it personally that somebody was questioning what they were doing. They took it, and once you take it personally, you can't think clearly. So he sees that in his father, and he says, "My dad's lost. Forgive him. He's just run by his emotions." But as much as his love is making him say that, at the end of the day, human beings will not be able to hide behind their emotions. we will, we will not be able to hide behind our emotions. We will not be able to, we can hide behind our emotions in this life. Oh, you know, I get crazy sometimes. You know, it's okay. Yeah, you could use that as a, you know, a crazy, you know, passport or a license to do whatever or get away with whatever, you know, or, you know, sometimes fathers get like that to their sons, and the son is broken and the mother says, you know, your dad gets like that sometimes. You know, when he's like that, just stay away from him. It's okay. Your dad just gets like that. I'm pretty sure dad's not going to be able to say, you know, Allah, I get like that. You understand, right? Because you know, once I get mad, you know, then the angel, he literally tells the angels on either side, hey, stop recording. I'm mad right now. And then he, you know, it's not how that works. When a son is being obnoxious with the father or mother, says, well, I got mad. You know, what do you want me to do? When I get mad, I can't, you know, I said sorry. Your emotions do not give you license to say whatever you want. Even your fu'ad, I gave khutbah about this in the sam'a wal basara wal fu'ad, kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. Even your heart, your inflamed heart, your heightened emotions, they will be questioned on Judgment Day too. So when he says about his dad, what it's coming from is, I see that my dad is constantly lost because he refuses to think. And he's been that way. But forgive him. And forgive him could also embed in it, Ya Allah, allow him, if once I'm gone from here, maybe his anger will calm down, and his emotions will calm down. And when they calm down, maybe he'll be able to think. And maybe he'll come to guidance. And if that does happen, then, you know, and it's remarkable, he didn't say, innahu min ad-dallin. He said, innahu kana min ad-dallin. He said, he has been from those that are lost. But he's not saying he is from those that are lost, meaning there's still hope. He's still not giving up hope, right? And the lesson that I want to leave you with is, you could be as well-spoken and sincere and, you know, loving and caring and direct and guided in your da'wah as what Ibrahim alayhi salam was doing with his father, but it can still have a negative effect, right? So sometimes it's just because it's you that it's not working. Maybe you just need to take a step back, and you need to stop preaching to some members of your family, because it's the fact that it's you that is so annoying to them. It's agitating them that, how is my son talking to me this way? Who does she think she is? He's talking to me like that. Who does he think he is? He's talking to me like that. That's actually, that rage is because you are a member of the family and you're supposed to be subservient. You're stepping out of your role if you're giving da'wah, and their ego takes over, right? So maybe you should not, if you've seen their ego flare up so many times, then you just need to step back and let them figure that out. And then you can all you can do is make dua for them. Maybe some indirect ways better for them, because you're only making things more aggressive. So وَغْفِرْ لِي أَبِي إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الضَّالِّينَ. But he's afraid. The power of the words of Ibrahim, I could say this to you tomorrow, but I really want to get to this ayah at least today. Just one thing. I'll be 5 minutes. وَلَا تُخْزِنِي يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُونَ. Do not humiliate me on the day where all of them will be raised. Do not humiliate me. Now, in this life, historically in society, our honor is related to our own accomplishments, but by extension also, our honor is related to our family, our parents, and our children. So easy way to understand that is dishonor. If somebody's father went to jail, they're humiliated, right? If somebody's parents were in the news, they're also humiliated. If somebody's kids got kicked out of school, somebody's kids went through humiliation, they're also humiliated, right? And when your son has, or your daughter has won some award, or they've won a scholarship, or they, then you know what? You're also elevated. And when your dad or your mom has accomplished something amazing, you're also elevated. So our dignity in this life is tied to those that came before us, our parents, and those that are underneath us, our children. There's a connection generally in life. Ibrahim alayhi salam is making dua that in the future, he's connected to good people. He's making dua to Allah that in the future, people speak of him in truthful ways. That's how he's connected to them. But there are some connections he cannot avoid. He cannot disconnect himself from his father. That's a bond Allah created, and no matter what, on Judgment Day, he's still going to be his father's son. So now he's afraid that, one, I may make mistakes, but even those around me that are tied to me, when they are humiliated on Judgment Day, then that will also become a humiliation for me. right? Because the humiliation of my parents is also my humiliation. So what's he asking Allah for the day of judgment? وَلَا تُخْزِنِي يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُونَ. Don't humiliate me the day that they are going to be raised. Don't allow me to be humiliated. And Allah Azza wa Jal actually answers this dua in His own beautiful way. We have this connection between father, son, mother, daughter, family ties. These are the ways that honor and dishonor is connected. But Allah Azza wa Jal created a different system on Judgment Day. And on Judgment Day, we are وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا. You're broken up into 3 groups, and the group you belong to is not the family you belong to. The group you belong to is the people that have light in front of their chest on their right hand, and they're being honored. And the people that are connected to them in this life may be completely disconnected from them in the next life. To the point where when the believer makes it to Jannah, and they're like, oh, where's my best friend? Where's the person I love so much? They're not here, that Allah will allow them to see, right? He'll allow them to see, take a peek at those that they used to love in this life. And when they see them burning in hell, the first thing they will not say is, oh, I'm humiliated, or Ya Allah, can you save them? That's not the first reaction. You know what the first reaction is? In kitta la turdin. Man, you almost pushed me off the cliff too. Whew. It's almost as if they're saying, thank God it's just you burning, because I would have been with you barbecuing right there too, man. The relationships are cut. So Allah is answering that in His own way. Allah is answering that severing in His own way. We don't want harm for our family members. In this life, Allah has put a love, a concern, a want for their well-being in this life. Those of you that are Muslim, that have Hindu parents, that have Buddhist parents, that have atheist parents, you have family that doesn't believe, Christian parents. I could feel like, I can only imagine the kind of pain you have, but at least you should find some comfort in knowing that Ibrahim alayhi salam felt that pain too. He made dua for his father too. He made dua that he should be guided also. So you should find comfort in that and do that. So anyway, these are some things that we have to become more and more cognizant of as we explore the words of Ibrahim alayhi salam in his young age as he's walking away. There's only a couple of words left from this passage. Then we're going to get to older age of Ibrahim alayhi salam. We've explored the youth of Ibrahim alayhi salam. We're going to get to the middle and older age of Ibrahim alayhi salam as the Quran describes it. Inshallah in subsequent sessions. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Quran al-Hakim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.